What is craftivism? Craft plus activism is craftivism. This craftivism presentation is the result of my passion for craft and activism and the Mississauga Arts Council Matchmaker Microgrant Program, for which I am grateful for receiving. Craftivism is a new word. However, art and craft have always been at the forefront of social and political change. Craftivism gives us a contemporary jumping point for a new movement. Craftivism is intentional. It embodies the belief that art and craft can serve as powerful tools for activism. My name is Sandra Clarke. I'm a zero-waste artist and educator. As a zero-waste textile artist, I practice slow stitching, visible mending, and craftivism, merging creativity with sustainability. My work revives worn garments and reclaimed fabrics, showcasing the beauty of repair and resourcefulness in a fast fashion world. Rooted in mindfulness and inspired by nature, I celebrate imperfection and aim to spark conversation on sustainability and social justice. Through each stitch, I invite others to embrace slow, mindful making and join the journey towards a more compassionate, sustainable future.
Welcome to our exploration of craftivism, a dynamic intersection of crafting and activism that transforms traditional techniques into powerful tools for social change. In this presentation, we'll journey through various themes of craftivism, including its role in raising awareness, fostering community, and advocating for justice. We'll delve into different types of craftivism, from visible mending and embroidery projects to the impactful use of textiles and wearable art. Join us as we uncover how crafting can be a profound form of activism, merging creativity with purpose to address pressing social and environmental issues. My inspiration. I'd like to start by introducing two craftists who taught me about craftivism. While at her knitting circle in the early 2000s, writer Betsy Greer was talking about how craft can play a part in activism. A friend suggested using the term craftivism. Women are exploring what they can do with craft because it has historically given us a voice when we didn't have a voice, says Greer. I wanted to be an activist in a way that was quieter, personal, more one-on-one, she says. She explains that every time you participate in crafting to make a difference in the world, you are engaging in craftivism. Crafts and creating can bring people together, and it can provide a gentle way for individuals to connect and deepen their understanding of issues. Another popular craftivist is Sarah Corbett. Sarah is a British activist, author, speaker, and the founder of Craftivist Collective. She is known for developing the gentle protest approach to activism and coining the term gentle protest. Sarah has a huge passion for craft. She has no formal training as an artist or craftsperson, saying, "I can do it, anyone can do it." Her main craft is cross-stitch, which she often uses to make mini protest banners. She has described her work as using creativity to make the public aware of the struggles people are still going through. Sarah's books. A Little Book of Craftivism, published in 2013 by Cicada. How to Be a Craftivist, published in 2017 by Unbound. Canary Craftivist Manual, self-published in 2021. Craftivist Collective Handbook, 20 craft projects to help to make a positive difference in our world, by Unbound. Our journey. Our journey takes us through activist themes and types of craft in as close to chronological order as possible, covering a wide variety of historical people and events. Fashion and clothing. the Lex Opia, a wartime measure implemented at the height of the Second Punic War in 215 BC. Lex Opia, enacted in 215 BCE in ancient Rome, was one of the earliest examples of women using collective action to challenge oppressive laws. The law limited women's wealth, restricting their ability to own gold, wear luxurious clothing, and drive carriages in the city. Lex Opia was a way to control people. Women protested by engaging in acts of public craftivism, decorating their attire, and defying these restrictions. They organized and took to the streets, using their appearance as a political statement, ultimately leading to the law's repeal. This early instance of craftivism highlights how textiles and adornment have long been powerful tools for social change. Mahatma Gandhi's act of spinning his own clothes was a powerful form of craftivism that became central to India's independence movement. By hand-weaving, Gandhi rejected British-manufactured textiles and encouraged self-reliance, making craft a symbol of resistance against colonial rule. He urged Indians to boycott British goods and embrace handmade clothing, turning the spinning wheel into a symbol of freedom. Gandhi's craftivism was not just about clothing. It was about empowering communities, fostering economic independence, and using traditional crafts as a form of nonviolent protest. This simple personal act became a powerful tool for political and social change. Madres de la Plaza de Mayo was a group formed in the 1970s in Argentina. They were protesting a military dictatorship that led to the disappearance of many young people. The mothers wore white headscarves which were embroidered with the names of the missing. The image of the white headscarf is still a symbol of this protest today. The bra-burning protests of the late 1960s were symbolic acts of rejecting societal expectations tied to women's fashion. During the 1968 Miss America protest, women's liberation activists threw bras, makeup, and high heels into a freedom trash can to protest the objectification of women. The act became a symbol of rejecting restrictive gender norms. This ties into craftivism by using fashion as a tool to challenge oppressive standards and reclaim personal identity. The 1970s punk movement is a notable example of craftivism, blending DIY culture with political and social activism. Punk fashion often featured handmade, customized clothing as a form of self-expression and rebellion against mainstream norms. Kirsten Norrie's Red Dress Project addresses domestic violence through craftivism. Women contribute their own embroidery to a single red dress, creating a powerful symbol of shared experiences and resilience. This collaborative artwork raises awareness, fosters dialogue, and empowers those affected by domestic violence, using craft as a means of healing and activism. The Red Dress Project, by Metis Artist Black, honors missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls, MWG, through empty red dresses displayed in public spaces. This movement raises awareness of the violence Indigenous women face. For embroidery craftivism, incorporating red dress motifs or stitching messages to honor missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls is a powerful way to contribute. The displays often include storytelling and ceremonies. Different color t-shirts are often used in craftivist projects to symbolize various causes or messages. Red often used to represent awareness and support for issues like heart disease, HIV/AIDS, or domestic violence. Pink commonly associated with breast cancer awareness, symbolizing solidarity and support for those affected by the disease. Pink bullying. Black can signify mourning or solidarity in movements like Black Lives Matter, highlighting issues of racial injustice and inequality. Green typically used for environmental causes, symbolizing commitment to sustainability and climate action. Blue often associated with mental health awareness, representing tranquility and support for those struggling with mental health challenges. The orange Every Child Matters movement uses orange T-shirts to honor Indigenous children affected by residential schools in Canada. The color symbolizes the loss and resilience of these children, highlighting the need for reconciliation and justice. Craftivism uses these colors creatively to convey powerful messages and raise awareness, turning everyday items like T-shirts into tools for social change. Sashiko originated in rural Japan during the Edo period 1603 to 1868. Initially, it was used as a practical technique to reinforce and repair clothing and household items. The craft evolved over time and became an art form celebrated for its aesthetic patterns and designs, while maintaining its roots in functionality and durability. The Sashiko project uses traditional Japanese sashiko stitching to create visible mending as a form of resistance against waste and consumerism. Humanitarianism. Many crafters use their skills to assist others. They share patterns for hats, booties, toys, and blankets for newborn babies. Craftivists can work alone, or better yet, invite friends to form a group and sew together. The handcrafted items can be sent to the group, which will distribute them to hospitals across the U.S. The crafted gifts are a nurturing way to welcome a child to the community, especially when the parent is struggling with poverty or health issues. Fast fashion. Fast fashion has devastating effects on the planet. As the second most toxic industry after oil, it contributes significantly to pollution. The production process involves harmful chemicals, particularly pesticides used on cotton plants, which damage ecosystems and human health. Rivers are polluted by toxic dyes and chemicals from textile factories, and clothing discarded in landfills releases toxic fumes as it decomposes. Fast fashion's demand for cheap labor leads to unsafe working conditions, as seen in the 2013 Rana Plaza collapse in Bangladesh, where 1,134 garment workers were tragically killed. This disaster highlighted the industry's exploitation and neglect of human rights. By encouraging overproduction and rapid consumption, fast fashion depletes resources, pollutes the environment, and threatens both human and ecological health. Denim is made primarily with cotton. Producing just 1 kilogram, 2.2 pounds of cotton can require up to 7,660 gallons of water, depending on where it's grown. A cotton crop consumes a lot of chemicals too. 16% of all insecticides are used on the plant, and many of them pose significant health risks for farm workers and nearby residents. Nowhere have the impacts from this process been more evident than in Xintang, a town in southern China. The denim capital of the world, it produces 1 in every 3 pairs of jeans sold. Visible mending fast fashion. Every time you mend clothing, you extend its life, slowing the fast fashion juggernaut. Environmentalism. Many craftivists place value on environmentalism and sustainability, which is becoming an overall trend in the craft world. Many participants opt for organic fabrics and fair trade items when shopping for supplies. The use of thrifted or repurposed items is also encouraged because it minimizes waste. Restore. Bring back to original function and appearance. Repair. Fix the hole, tear, rip, or damage. Recycle. Alter the fabric and give it a new life. Repurpose. Change the purpose of the fabric. Keeps clothing and textiles out of the landfills. Visit Pinterest, Instagram, and YouTube for excellent examples and tutorials about visible mending. What can we change? Shop in vintage stores, charity shops, Poshmark-type websites, helps local economy, keeps an article of clothing out of the landfill. supports your creative expression, which in turn gives others permission to do the same. Quilting. Craftivism and quilting bees have a rich history of community-driven activism. In the 19th century, quilting bees were social gatherings where women came together to create quilts, often for charitable causes or to support community members. These collaborative spaces also allowed women to discuss social issues, strategize, and build solidarity. During the abolitionist and suffrage movements, quilting bees became sites of activism, where quilts were stitched with messages of freedom and equality. Today, craftivists continue this tradition by using quilting to advocate for social justice, combining creativity with activism to craft messages of change. The Underground Railroad Quilt Code suggests that quilts were used as secret communication tools by enslaved African Americans escaping to freedom in the 1700s and 1800s. According to this theory, specific quilt patterns like the monkey wrench, bear's paw, and log cabin contained hidden messages guiding escape routes and signaling safe houses along the Underground Railroad. While the historical accuracy of this code is questioned, the idea remains a powerful symbol of how craft and textiles might have played a role in resistance against slavery, blending creativity with survival. I believe this to be true. It makes perfect sense. Suffrage quilts. Quilts created during the women's suffrage movement, featuring messages and symbols advocating for women's right to vote. The Freedom Quilting Bee is a quilting cooperative established in 1966 by a group of African American women in the community of Rehoboth, 46 miles from Selma, in Wilcox County. The groups arose during the Civil Rights Movement and are heralded for having spawned a renaissance in the popularity of quilting in American interior decor in the 1960s. The Freedom Quilting Bee has in recent years been confused with the nationally known Gee's Bend Quilters Collective, a group of quilters who reside in the nearby community of Boykin, formerly Gee's Bend. Some quilters in the Freedom Quilting Bee have belonged to both groups. Chilean arpileras are hand-sewn textile artworks that became powerful symbols of resistance during the Pinochet dictatorship in the 1970s and 1980s. Created by women, often from impoverished or politically oppressed communities, these vibrant patchwork pieces depict scenes of daily life, protest, and the harsh realities of living under the regime. The arpileras not only provided a creative outlet, but also served as a form of storytelling and protest, smuggling the truth of political repression to the outside world. Today, they remain a testament to resilience and the role of art in social justice movements. The AIDS Memorial Quilt is one of the largest craftivism projects in history. Created to honor and memorialize those who died from AIDS-related illnesses. Begun in 1987, it consists of thousands of hand-stitched panels, each made by friends, family, and activists, often incorporating personal mementos, names, and symbols of love. The quilt served as both a visual representation of the devastating impact of the AIDS epidemic and a powerful tool for advocacy, raising awareness and funds for AIDS research. It remains a poignant reminder of the intersection between art, activism, and community healing. Aaron's Gun Quilt is a project by the Seam Ripper Society that uses quilting to address gun violence. The quilt features imagery related to guns and serves as a form of craftivism to raise awareness and spark dialogue on the issue. Painting. Throughout history, paintings have been used as powerful tools for activism and social commentary. Iconic works like Picasso's Guernica 1937 protested the horrors of war through its depiction of the bombing of a Spanish village. In 18th century America, Liberty Leading the People by Eugene Delacroix symbolized revolutionary spirit and resistance. Even earlier, works like The Execution of Lady Jane Grey, 1833, by Paul Delaroche, expressed political sentiment through dramatic imagery. These paintings serve as visual narratives, influencing public opinion and immortalizing social movements through art. The Group of Seven, Emily Carr, and Tom Thompson's connection to Craftivism lies in the idea of art as a means to shape cultural identity and inspire change. Just as craftivists use handmade creations to communicate social or political messages, the Group of Seven use their art to craft a distinct Canadian identity. They pushed against European artistic traditions, reclaiming their landscapes and narratives. This spirit of using creative expression to challenge norms and build community aligns with the principles of Craftivism, where art is used not just for aesthetics, but as a tool for cultural commentary and activism. Graffiti in Craftivism transforms public spaces into platforms for social and political expression. By using walls and urban surfaces as canvases, Craftivist graffiti artists highlight issues like inequality, environmental justice, and human rights. Unlike traditional graffiti, this approach often incorporates handmade elements, such as yarn bombing or stencil designs, merging craft with activism. The visual impact and accessibility of graffiti allow it to reach wide audiences, making it an effective tool for grassroots movements and creative resistance. Guerrilla kindness became the hottest craftivist trends during COVID. Painted rocks are enormously popular. Kids and adults alike enjoy painting a simple rock, inscribing it with an encouraging message, and leaving this little handcrafted gem for a stranger to discover. This simple act of crafting brings joy to both the giver and the receiver. Feminism. 3 modern-era waves of feminism: early 1900 seconds suffragettes, 1960s and 70s era, 2000s craftivism. The suffragettes were early craftivists, using handmade banners and sashes to promote women's voting rights. The suffragettes in Great Britain and the United States are well known for using their handiwork skills to create banners, signs, sashes, and other items for protest. Their sewing and crafting skills were put to excellent use, and their crafted messages live on in historical photos and documents. Women began to demand that the sexist art world recognize exceptional domestic art and use that very medium to protest inequality and other causes. They found a unique power in using the material objects of traditional femininity, arguably the objects of their oppression, to speak up politically. Judy Chicago coined the term feminist art and established the first feminist art program in the U.S. At the California Institute of the Arts, she specialized in teaching fiber arts, weaving yarn, and ultimately helped build and oversee Woman House, a collaborative art installation that transformed an entire house into a criticism of gendered domesticity. Like Woman House, feminist art often incorporated materials from the female realm of the house: makeup, dishes, ironing boards, hair, lingerie, etc. Miriam Shapiro used sewing techniques on painted canvas. Claire Zeisler, Jagoda Buick, and others helped lead a fiber arts movement that juxtaposed women's power with their exploitation. In her video Semiotics of the Kitchen, Martha Rosler violently demonstrates kitchen utensils. Women's domestic trappings had been wrenched inside out for a complicit public. "Come and look inside our houses, minds, and bodies," they said. "Observe this injustice." Protest models. The Knit In is one example of a craftivist protest. The Knitting Nanas Against Gas is a craftivist group in Australia. The group formed in 2012 to raise awareness of gas mining on agricultural lands. The group uses knitting as a tool for nonviolent political activism. They calmly sit and knit in front of the entrances to many mining sites. Their long lengths of knitting can be placed across gates and roads. The group also makes cushions to protect protesters against blisters when they are locked onto fences. Their use of yellow and black, as well as their peaceful tactics, has brought peaceful media attention to their concerns. Yarn bombing is another way that craftivists brighten their surroundings. The idea is to cover objects or structures in public places with decorative knitted material. Some opt to crochet instead. This form of street art is also an act of guerrilla kindness, and just a fun way to use crafts to bring unity and joy to any space. Pink Tank by Marianne Jorgensen, Aarhus, Denmark. Social justice issues. One of the most recent high-profile examples of craftivism is the Women's March that was held in the United States and several cities around the world. On January 21, 2017, the knitted pink hat became such a defining symbol of this movement that it was featured on the cover of Time magazine. More and more people are turning to craft as a way to collaborate and express their activist views. Crochet Coral Reef. The Crochet Coral Reef is a project by Australian-born twin sisters Margaret Wertheim and Christine Wertheim and their Los Angeles-based institute for figuring responding to the crisis of damaged coral reefs. The crochet work simulates living reefs using techniques of crochet to mimic in yarn the curling forms of actual reef organisms. Words. In 1787, entrepreneurial potter Josiah Wedgwood, 1730-95, produced a ceramic medallion in support of the abolition of the slave trade. A forerunner of the protest badge, Wedgwood's anti-slavery medallions were distributed for free at abolitionist society meetings to promote the cause. In the novel A Tale of Two Cities, a worker secretly encodes the names of those soon to be executed in her knitting. The Madame Defarge character was no doubt based on the actions of women in real life. Her acts have even inspired craftivist Defarge groups across the world, where members use knitting as a way to promote change in their communities. Event, Bread and Puppet Theater, We Are the Women of Vietnam Women Strike for Peace Rally. Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, April 1, 1972. Amanda Gorman is an American poet and activist who rose to fame after delivering The Hill We Climb at President Biden's 2021 inauguration, becoming the youngest inaugural poet in U.S. history. A Harvard graduate and National Youth Poet Laureate, her work focuses on social justice and identity. Gorman also appeared at Kamala Harris's 2024 Democratic Convention, further solidifying her voice as a powerful advocate for change. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the world of craftivism. I hope you found inspiration in the various themes and types of craftivism we explored. As you reflect on the presentation, consider which aspects resonated most with you. If any part of the presentation was particularly meaningful, I encourage you to dive deeper into that area. Embrace the power of craftivism and explore how it can become a part of your life, turning your creativity into a force for positive change. Your engagement and passion can make a difference.